Well, I am here with Tim, the Experiment Wilde. How we doing, my man?
I'm really good, mate. Thanks for having me on.
So good. Before we start, where did the experiment come from? Where did that nickname come from?
So my previous coach, John Roberts, he experimented me a little bit with the style of martial arts that he used to train me in. So it was kind of given to me. It was never by choice. I was never really bothered about a nickname as such or a fight name. But yeah, so he used a more unorthodox style, as you perhaps have seen from my fighting. Of martial arts, so a lot of sorry, not European, a lot of Eastern martial arts like Kali. So he's big into his stick fighting. He did a lot of Jeet Kune Do and stuff like that. So yeah, it was my old coach that gave it to me, and he experimented it with me to see whether it would work in an MMA environment.
I'll get the
So
sticks
I
out.
was now, yeah. Well, I did a couple of times and it hurts. I'll tell you now, it's not good fun.
Yeah, it's not ideal, really. You see people going from, I think that's more intense than sparring, just properly whacking each other with the sticks or the headgear and all the rest of it. It's a bit of an interesting one. So, talk us through your sort of martial arts journey. How did you get into MMA in the first place?
Um, I kind of naturally progressed there. So I started martial arts when I was around 7, 8 years old, and kind of made to do by my parents, which at the time I wasn't, fond of. But um, I've always been sporty, never bothered about martial arts, and they pushed me into it because I was getting bullied at school and stuff because of having the ginger hair and whatever. And
You said it,
nothing
not me.
too, yeah, well, nothing too severe. But yeah, so they thought it would be good for me to be able to defend myself, look after myself and stuff. And where we live, it was a little bit rough and stuff. So, I, I went with it and kind of stuck it out. And on and off over the years, as a child, as such, and a young adolescent, I was really against it. I was actually ironically bullied at martial arts by a girl, but I was kind of made to stick to it. And yeah, by I'd say 15, 16, I really started to enjoy it and just stuck at it and progressed from that to boxing. Tried a few different martial arts. My uncle does Japanese jiu-jitsu. I did a little bit of that. And then I seen the Ultimate Fighter and just thought, wow, I can try that. Or at least I thought I could. And yeah, I went to joined UTC Staffs in Cannock, and I was their first member because they had like a revamp. There used to be an older Team Supreme and all the old Paul Taylors and all the lads, a lot of them originated from there and stuff. So went up there and got my ass kicked by Vaughan Lee, who obviously you've
Hmm.
heard of, and just fell in love with it from then. I'm very competitive and don't like losing, so I was like, I need to learn how to do this. Like, because at the time, when I joined up, I thought I could fight. And I probably maybe could more so than your average Joe, but not compared to a mixed martial artist. And yeah, I just fell in love with it and progressed because I'm an electrician by trade. So progressively over the last 9, 10 years now, I've gone from working full time and just trying MMA to giving up my business, coming winding it down to part time, passing it over to my dad, and then just going full time at this and all the struggles and that all MMA fighters and sacrifices that we all kind of make and do. So
What's to say
yeah, naturally progressed to MMA.
there's quite a few things to sort of dig into with that because obviously starting reluctantly because of obviously being bullied and everything else. Presumably, when the bullied stopped, or hopefully it stopped until you get bullied today. Still, who knows? Um, did you
And
have a
by
set?
myself.
This is it. Do you still get the same kind of? Where did you get that need to keep going? Because almost having that bully gave you the reason to train. But then once the bully went, did you still have that same, I don't say urgency or incentive to train? You see what I mean?
Um, well, yeah, I mean, the kind of early on, as a child, you don't know, when you're young, you don't really know what you want. I mean, some kids perhaps do, but the majority of people, I mean, just you don't know what you want to do. You don't, you want to try all things, and especially when it comes to like work. At 16, I think you're too young to really decide what you want to do there. But yeah, I started the MMA. I started Shotokan karate. I started, and I wasn't keen on it. I was pushed to keep going, but I enjoyed the physical aspect of it. But I just didn't see the point of it. It was like felt like a chore. And then especially when I got bullied at
the thing is, you've been involved in like MMA from like the early days and everything else, and come from that traditional background. Do you feel the sort of traditional values are lost in MMA as such, or do you reckon they've been transposed into, I don't know, more modern values, if you see what I mean?
I think some aspects of traditional MMA MMA are different. So, for instance, like Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, where I do my Jiu-Jitsu with Neil Simkin, and that's Gracie Barra. They're very very traditional, and his coaching methods are very like. He comes ironically from a karate background as well. He keeps a lot of the traditional martial arts in place, especially with the kids. And I know Gracie Barra can sometimes get some stick on different forums and stuff for the way they are. But I love it, and I think it's great for kids especially because, like I've been to, like I say, I've tried all different martial arts, and the difference with, say, a traditional martial arts like karate and boxing is they're both good. They both teach you how to defend yourself and whatnot. Both make you fit, different life values. But there was just, with any boxing gym I ever went into, there was never that same kind of respect. And, unless you was really going to be a fighter, that you didn't get that same care and attention from, your coach or your sensei that you would at martial arts. So I definitely, for me and my own personal experience, can say Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu or Gracie Barra, they keep that kind of traditional aspect from martial arts. When I train at Renegade, we don't line up or wear after say us to the coaches or anything, but we keep structure to the classes. They have good timetables and stuff, so they do have some of the same traditional aspects that martial arts have, but in different ways. You know what I mean? There's definitely that level of respect on there. No one would piss about and disrespect coaches. People wouldn't talk whilst, say, Tom Breeze was or Leon Edwards was showing something. So I guess some of that has transitioned into modern day MMA. But I can only speak for Renegade and where I've trained prior UTC stuff, so I can't speak for all the rest of the gyms.
Well, this is where it gets quite interesting. I sort of found, like my training and everything else, is, as you were saying, you get the traditional martial arts where it's like sensei, you sort of, speak when spoken to, you bow and all this kind of stuff. And you get the boxing kind of, instead of having the respect, you have to earn the respect. And MMA is almost a bit of a hybrid in almost every sense of that. Because with like jiu-jitsu, there's that kind of constant work rate. With boxing, it tends to be when you have a fight, you kind of train then and then peak and all the rest of it. Whereas MMA, again, is somewhere in the middle of all this kind of thing. So it's a tricky one to try and establish where these lines are. But I mean, more in your sense of how would you feel... Well, take one of the Instagram questions. I'm going to do this near the end, but one of the Instagram questions just popped up now about Neil Simkin, because, where is it? I had a minute ago. So, there we are. So, how did you come across Neil Simpkin, and why do you go to a lot of different gyms? I thought it was quite an interesting one.
Yeah, it's a good question. So I did all of my training at UTC Staffs, and I'd done my wrestling, so all as an amateur. I basically used to work every night as an electrician, and every day as an electrician, and work and train every night at UTC Staffs, just doing the classes, which I think we can touch that later if you want, but I think a lot of amateurs lack that now. But yeah, so I got to, I think I was about 4 fights into my amateur career, and I fought one of his guys, Dominic McDermott. He's a black belt there now, really great lad. And I fought him on AMA. Do you remember Mark Goddard's show?
Yeah.
AMA, very in the old days. And AMA was always a very good amateur show and known for producing good fighters. Tom Breeze if he was an AMA champion, he was destined to kind of go on. Like there was Tom Breeze was an AMA champion, and so there was lots of guys that fought on AMA who are now kind of fighting at high level. But yeah, so I fought him, and I studied him and knew he had really good jiu-jitsu. Anyway, so I left it at that, and then I beat him, and then moving forward, I saw Neil, because local lad in Warsaw, I was getting JD, was getting some trainers, and he was like, "Oh, you'll have to come down and train." And he was really friendly and welcoming, which was weird for me, because when I fought Dom, I did knock him out quite badly, and but he was very respectful, and it was great. And I just thought, oh wow, that's awesome, nice to be invited down. And then it took about a year, and I kind of outgrew the jiu-jitsu at UT Staff, so I got to a higher level of amateur kind of fighting, and I needed to move on and progress my jiu-jitsu, and I suggested to my old coach that I should perhaps go down there and try see what it's like. And I went down there, and we really just hit it off straight away, and we've really grown to become really good friends. So he keeps trying to get me to put a gi on, which I don't very much, but I do pretty much all of my no gi jiu-jitsu down there now, other than the bits I do at Renegade. And yeah, we've just grown to become really friends. He's like a mentor to me, if you like. I see him more than just my no-gi grappling coach for MMA. He's taught me a lot of good life lessons as well. He's really, really, anyone who knows him, he's a really kind of motivating, disciplined, encouraging guy, and he would help anyone out, kind of thing. So yeah, we've become really good friends, and I love the. That's one thing I'm missing so much at the minute with all this, like, is the grappling down there. But yeah, so and the other question, why do I travel around so much? I think you have to find the best training. I might have left it a little bit too late in my career now with the move to Renegade. We'll see. I feel I've still got a good 3 or 4 years fighting in me for sure. But I perhaps should have done it a bit earlier on. But we've always travelled about. I go and train with Alex Inland. Great guy, great coach, brilliant brain for the sport. I think he's going to produce over the next 20 years a lot of really good high-level fighters. I go up and spar at the old Rough House with Wayne Kirk and Jimmy and Danny and Dan, all the guys up there. Dan used to go there, and Jimmy and Dan have got their own gym and stuff. But yeah, and then Renegade, yeah, I've been there now since kind of December. I think to think that you can stay at one gym all your life and be the best in the world, I think you're being a bit naive there. You need to get out and experience other coaches' opinions and train with other sparring partners, measure yourself, see where you're at and stuff. So that's why I travel around.
See, I've got a similar philosophy with that, but what always I find contradicting, and also the give and take of MMA, is where your home is and whose flag you fly. Because this is where mainly in jiu-jitsu, you find this kind of argument with cross-training of, you're what's called a crayon, you're this sort of person who doesn't have you train all over the place. So yes, you do your kickboxing over with Wayne, you do your jiu-jitsu over with Neil and all this kind of stuff. And then when it comes to fighting, who do you want in your corner? This is a sort of tricky sort of, I don't know, catch-22 almost.
Yeah, I was always like that, and I was always UTC Staffs, and John Roberts was always in my corner. And if you look at Renegade, they don't have like one specific head coach who's just pure head coach role, but like they have such high level, high caliber fighters that have done it all over, that any one of them really can corner them guys. So what is a corner man at the end of the day? It's another set of eyes on you fighting. It's someone to give you a drink and calm you down, calm your breathing down. I mean, should they really be trying to teach you stuff in the corner in a fight? No. It's like, okay, look what, it's just another set of eyes on you at a different angle. So who better than to have Leon or Tom Breeze or someone like that in your corner? And that is what I shall be doing moving forward when I get to fight again. I'll be representing Renegade. But yeah, like I've built a real great bond with Neil Sinkins. He knows my grappling inside out, and maybe he'll be there in that corner as well. I think for myself, it'll be Renegade. I've really submerged myself into that team a lot. So, but yeah, I know what you mean. If you're someone who travels around and haven't got a home exactly, yeah, that could be tricky. I mean, you need someone who knows you, knows your style, knows your strengths and your weaknesses for sure.
And again, it is an interesting one you're saying there, because again, as much as it is the corner person, it's not just that instruction though. It's that, I don't know, you have to feel that kind of connection to know that they want your best interest and they can understand what you're going through. Like, you build this rapport, and their advice is specific to how well they know you and how well they can imply that. Because again, ultimately, it's you doing it, it's you in the firing line. But again, that kind of, again, it's all case by case again. And it's interesting what you're saying about your next fight with being represented by Renegade. So,
sorry, 1 second, mate.
It's alright, man.
What's up? Oh, sorry. It's alright. It's Mrs.
The boss. That's it.
Sorry, mate.
Nah, it's all good. So, regards of what's next for you, you're saying about you representing Renegade. Have you got an opponent lined up or anything in talks up behind the scenes you can disclose?
Well, I was talking to Bellator, and I was matched with Alfie Davis from London Shoot Fighters for next week, actually. But the show's been. I actually made a mistake and put on that it had been cancelled. It's not. It's been postponed. So to me, that says I shall be in there with him at the next available opportunity. But other than that, there's been nothing disclosed. I mean, Scott Coker's, he's doing everything he can to get Bellator shows on, and there's different ideas bouncing around. My management has a lot to do with him, but there's nothing nailed down as of yet, unfortunately. I mean, I'm staying as ready as I can. As ready as I can as a fighter who hasn't got any training partners, if you like. But, I'm keeping myself in shape and mentally ready. And if someone comes off, if they say, well, there's a show in 8 weeks, I'll be ready to go. So.
Well, this is quite interesting on your social media, because you seem to be very active, like in your own training, in regards of obviously your cardio and everything you can do. How are you, as honest as you want to be, regards of how is your training going like at the minute? Like, what are you getting done? Have you got some sort of structure to your days, or are you sort of day by day, so now you get on?
It's been a bit up and down. Like, I can imagine everyone's kind of mental state and training and diet and everything has been a bit up and down due, from the last 7-8 weeks of being stuck in their homes. But yeah, I mean, it's testing for sure, but I am, if you like, staying active. So the training, I can hit the bag, I can shadowbox, which shadowboxing is such an important tool for fighters if done correctly. And I'm running and I'm cycling a lot. So I have to keep myself busy because I have a very, very busy mind. And, I feel myself get quite ratty and kind of agitated if I don't train now. So God knows what I'll do if ever, touch wood, it never happens, have a bad injury or, when I retire. But I'll, so I mean, but the thing that I'm missing the most is contact, and that contact with other people, which is very difficult to explain. If you say to someone, I can't wait to just grab another man and wrestle him. It's a bit weird, isn't it, really, when you think about it? But I'm really missing that. As someone who does it themselves, you perhaps understand.
Yeah,
but it's just not the same as hitting the bag or slamming a ball up a wall or lifting a weight. It's you get something different from that sort of training, and that's what I'm really missing. And that you're gonna fighters, unless they're secretly meeting up, and that's up to them. But if they're secretly meeting up with other fighters and rolling and wrestling, if they haven't done that for 8 weeks, it doesn't matter what training you do, you aren't going to have that same conditioning to that, and that needs to be introduced back into training slowly, I think, when everything gets back to normal.
There's so much to take out from that. So we'll start from the end and work back to the start. So regards of like the sparring to go back into, I think it gets you can tell people who haven't done the sparring before a fight because their cardio is so much different because that kind of stress from sparring, because even though you could be as playful whatever else you want, there is an underlying kind of, this is like a real risk here. And same with rolling as well. You can't emulate that. It's so specifically awkward, I want to say. Like, you can't replicate that. You can get your grapple done, you can do what you want, but it's not quite the same at all. And it is an interesting concept because everyone, I can imagine, when things go back to normal, fingers crossed sooner than later, everyone's going to jump into sparring, jump into rolling without, get overexcited and then, injure themselves. So it's very important what you said there about easing themselves back in. But one thing I really want to get into is you sort of touched on there, saying about you've got quite a busy mind, quite an overthinker, I want to say. How do you deal with a fight camp, regards of structuring and sticking to a plan? Because I could imagine that could give you a lot of, I don't know, I want to say uncertainty.
It's a good question. Yeah. So I've always been a deep thinker, perhaps sometimes an overthinker. I'm not a worrier. I don't suffer with like any kind of anxiety or anything like that. It's just a bit of a night owl sometimes, and can sit up overthinking and stuff. So, but what I've found has really works with me is having structure. Having structure, knowing what meals I'm eating, what times, where I'm training, how long the drives get in, things. Then annoying things like traffic throw you out, but no, that is what it is. But,
very much.
If I have structure to my day or my week or my training camp with written notes and the team I have around me, so I use nutritionists, I use a mind coach who helps me, and so all these things. When I went running the other day, I mentioned about it on my story on my Instagram. It's so important to have a good team around you. You can't do this sport on your own. Ultimately, it's you getting in there and fighting, but it's your team that prepares you and helps you stay ready and get ready for fights. So, but yeah, for me, I found structure and routine really helps my busy mind. And then when I want to switch off, just putting like some crap on the telly, like a DC film. I've actually just watched that Justice League. I don't rate it, but something like that, just to mong out really. So, but yeah, so that's tends to be what I do really. But yeah, I mean, in fight camp, you can have. I work with a mind coach, so his name's the English hypnotist. His name's Richard Hart, and he's helped me a lot. I've worked with him now for nearly 2 years, and he's given me lots of different kind of things that I can do, structures and ways that I can help that. So if I'm perhaps got a busy mind, and different techniques and tips that have helped me to be a more confident and a better overall thinker and fighter. And the way I speak, the language I use and stuff, that makes a difference. And so I never really thought of. And the fact of the matter is, when fight comes to fight night, we all have our skill sets and our attributes and stuff. I always think the person who has the edge is the person who has the mental edge.
So let's dissect quite a bit of that. So first of all, again, what you were saying about the team aspect is so true, and this should be highlighted now more than ever, that when you haven't got your training partners, you can see the effect it has on your morale, the training quality, all this kind of stuff. So that's a huge thing. People take for granted almost what they have in a sense of a gym and an environment with all these people willing to train. Because, like, for example, your family, like, I don't think your girlfriend or your partner wants to spar with you the same way your training partners want to. That kind of willing, kind of able people, it makes a huge difference. And I really want to get into this mind coach thing then. So what to you is the mind coach, and what made you get Richard involved in?
So Conor McGregor was a big influence on that. He obviously has and does perhaps still work with kind of mind coach, and he's quoted things from the book The Secret and stuff. So I was interested about it, but what again, word of mouth and actually seeing it work in practice was what sold it to me. So Aidan Lee, who's a teammate now, but kind of wasn't before. But has always been a friend. He's someone I've trained on and off with for years. I've really seen a massive change in him over a period of a year and 4 fights. And I kept seeing on his banner, actually, his fight banner, the English hypnotist. And I just put 2 and 2 together, and I messaged him. I was like, who's this English hypnotist? And, he had nothing but praise to say about him. So I just got in touch with him, really. And, yeah, I was a bit sceptical about it. I've never believed or kind of done hypnotism or understood it, should I say. And, yeah, we got talking and we had a session. And, yeah, I enjoyed it. And I think kind of I paid for about the first 3 fight camps, and then he sponsored me a couple of fight camps and stuff. So we worked together now for 2 years, but it was a strange one. Yeah, that at first you feel like you're just in a massively relaxed state of mind when you do it, because all our sessions are online, like this video session. So you set it up with a laptop and just chilled, and you just have a chat. You got to know me, and then when we went into hypnosis, it was a bit of a surreal experience. You're not sure if you're asleep or awake or you're under. It's very strange. You feel like you can open your eyes at any time, but he has his techniques and his ways of doing it. He's trained in doing that. And yeah, we just touched base on areas. And he obviously, what's good about Rich is he fought Muay Thai at quite a high level, so he knows martial arts, and he's worked with like fighters, quite high level fighters now, Tom Breeze, Chris Meyer stuff. So he has a lot of experience, and yeah, we just hit it off, and I just find it helps me. I feel it's nice to have someone to be accountable to, checking in on you, how's your mind, but because I'm quite stubborn, or have been stubborn, and I'll be like, yeah, I'm fine, just typical bloke, yeah, I'm fine, when actually I might actually not be fine, and actually no, I'm feeling a bit shit, I can't be asked to train at the minute, or training sucks at the minute, or I can't get this technique in jitsu. Sorry, can I swear?
Yeah, you'll be alright.
Try not to. Yeah, so it's like frustrations and things. And as a bloke, we just crack on with it, and we'll get it. And actually thinking about it and talking about it with him, and and techniques and I don't want to give away too much, because obviously it's a business.
Yeah,
but
I appreciate
tips he gives me and has massively helped me. And yeah, like I say, I keep. Other than my gym, on my team, I've been with me from the start pretty much. I keep my circle small. If I create a relationship with someone and it works, why fix it if it's not broken? It always has. And I know I've lost some fights. I'm not undefeated, 28-0 like Khabib, but I know I'm more to give, and I am a very good high level fighter, and I've got more to give, and that is due to my own and discipline and sacrifice, but also the team that I've worked with, so I've got nothing but praise for them.
I mean, all of that, it seems, again, there's quite a lot to dissect with this. So something you said about the whole, I want to say mental health aspect of it, the way you'd acknowledge it and the way you deal with it. I think because stereotypically it's not always the same, oh, I feel depressed, I'm struggling, I'm upset. It's sometimes, I'm frustrated, I'm angry, I can't get motivated, all this kind of stuff. So it's interesting the way you were sort of highlighting that. But regards of dealing with that, do you think it was something underlying that really motivated this? Do you think it was something you've been trying to, I don't know, push under the carpet, you tried to deal with, or do you reckon it was a separate thing entirely?
No, I know it was something I was quite trying to deal with. For myself, I've always, how can I put it? I've always got by in life as such, and always done okay. So I wagged off of school and still got fairly decent grades. Weirdly, never revised. I always had a nickname, the Daily Thompson, who's an old decathlete, I think, and because I was good at everything. But that sounds really big-headed. I'm
I know what you mean.
You know what I mean? I've always just done okay in life and got by, landed on my feet and whatever. And with never really applying myself 100%. And that was something that I worked with him a lot for. And kind of felt these last couple of years now, I'm giving it my 100%, and will continue. You have the ups lapses and stuff, but I'm on that journey now where I'm giving it 100%. And that was something I kind of found out about myself through counselling on a separate issue, as a personal, having counselling personally. Again, I've never suffered with anxiety or depression. I was actually advised to do it, just to try it. I think everybody should. And we dug deep, and I discovered that about myself. And I don't know what that is. It's just my personality. Maybe something happened as a child. I don't know. That's normally what it stems back to. But for me, I've always been happy with just for instance, an exam, my GCSE maths. I've always liked maths, been good at it. Got a B on my GCSE maths. Didn't try at all. Didn't revise. And what if I'd have applied myself? It's always that fear of, actually, if I'd have tried, I might have got an A star. What would that have opened for me? And I felt like that a bit about my MMA journey so far. I'll leave the weight cut till as late as possible, rather than just staying on weight, or used to, not so much now. So that was Rich helped me discover that, and he helps me give my 100% and picks me up if ever I stumble a little bit. And he's really helped me with that, having that positive attitude, and helped me discover that it's like. I don't really know how to explain it, but I now feel like these next few years, and till I hang up my gloves, I want to give it my all. And then I know then when I retire, whatever I've achieved, I'm proud of what I've done, and it's like I give it my all. So,
do you feel that it's like a defense mechanism that, it doesn't matter if I fail, because if I didn't try, then I haven't really failed almost, and because you're passing by. That.
Yeah, because I remember listening to a podcast, you might have heard it yourself, with John Jones, and he says he used to do that. He's never given it 100%, and 3 weeks out from a fight, he would go on his binge, his drug and drink binge for a week, and then still fight and still absolutely smash everyone. And it was like, for him, it was his, well, if I don't do it, maybe it's again. I've never really deeply thought about it. I don't think so. I think I'm okay. I've always been all right, kind of thing. I don't think I'd do it as like, a security blanket. So if I lose, I gave it my 100% for the Primus fight, and at no point did I feel like in that fight I got what happened. What happened? But after it, I didn't think, I didn't really give it 100%, because I did. So I've changed my mentality on that now. But perhaps before it might have been. I never really dug deep into it at that point in my life, so, and I probably wouldn't have wanted to at that age, or maybe I was a bit younger, not ready. Having I have a son who's 3.5 now, but that made me want to grow up really quickly, well, kind of forced me to grow up really quickly, so possibly.
I mean, this is where it gets quite tricky with these kind of underlying habits, I want to say, especially as you're in such a, what's the word? With such a dynamic sport in MMA, especially at this level as well, is that you don't want any part of the structure to feel compromised or feel any sort of doubt almost. Because I feel like if you overanalyze that kind of character trait, it can then fall into other habits, and you can then start doubting other elements. So this is why I think mind coach and sort of visualization side of things is so underappreciated. Because I've 100% myself, obviously on a smaller scale, and like jiu-jitsu competitions and my own MMA fights, that my mind has let myself down. I've underperformed. And that's where the frustrations come from not reaching that potential. Like you're saying with the Primus fight, you didn't have that kind of, you because you gave a good performance and you gave a good account of yourself, I can't help but feel you gave yourself, I don't know, something to be proud of instead of falling. Say if you get like, Alden McGregor, for example, you end up falling short without any chance to do anything. That's a lot more devastating, I can't help but feel. You see what I mean?
Yeah, I feel nothing but proud about that whole fight. It was what I think. This is one of the things where I said earlier on, maybe, if I'd have gone to Renegade 5 years ago or 4 years ago, could have been a different outcome. Who knows? May not have even ended up going that path. But I gave it all for that fight camp, and I'm not going to sit here and make excuses, but I didn't wrestle all fight camp due to a back injury and stuff. So, but I gave everything 100% that I was physically and mentally capable of doing, and we jumped on an opportunity for my debut to fight the number one in the division. It didn't go my way, but I got to headline You know, for my debut was a main event in pretty much my hometown. You know, it's only half an hour down the road. My face was on billboards all around Birmingham. It was a big deal for me. It's something I'll be proud of forever, and it's something I could show my son. I have pictures of me with my billboard and stuff. It's a big achievement, and I wanted to win. Of course, I did, and I had a solid game plan. And I think a big part of it, the moment got to me. So, you know, I wasn't meant to go to the ground with him, or at least not initiate going to the ground with him. And I knocked him down and I dived on him. So, you know, the kind of moment got to me a bit there. But yeah, I'm nothing but proud of that. And to say what you said about you feel like your mind's let you down a lot. So many fighters, and believe me, so many high level fighters, you know, I'm not going to name names, but suffer with that and struggle with that. And I can't advise it enough. You know, even if it's not like Richard, like working with, even if it's on their own, training your mind and thinking deeply about how your mind is involved in martial arts and what it does for you and stuff, and how you apply that to your training, to everyday life is so important. As I touched on earlier briefly, when we get in there, we're all trained. We all have different skill sets. We will have slightly different attributes, but we're all fit. We all want to be in there. We're all winning. We can all fight, and there's always that MMA look in it, you know, as well. But I think it's whoever has that really good game plan and mindset always has that edge, you know. And so, you know, look at the training. You're a fighter. How often do you train a week,
Like
on average?
Twice a day for, you know, not in quarantine as a rule.
Yeah. And how often do you train your mind?
Well, again, depends what your class is training your mind. Depends your
So
class is podcast.
visualization,
Well, this
making
is
notes.
it.
Yeah, this is you're doing it now with having a conversation with different fighters, and it's good that you do that. But like a lot of fighters won't do anything more than the training that's required. And I find it a chore myself sometimes. And my coach will tell you, he's always nagging me for my notes, but I make notes on all my training. I make notes on my day, how I feel, what I eat. I plan what I eat, and it is a chore. I do visualization. I study, and you know, I visualize in my shadow boxing. I study of fighters, my opponents, and stuff, and previous fights. And it can be a chore when sometimes you just want to sit and manga and watch a rubbish DC film. But yeah, you know, it's a big part. I think it's 70% of the fight. Like, because we're all fit and we all train hard and we're all tough and we're all skilled, and like, so it's a massive, massive part. Your mind is, and not just in fighting, in life. Having a positive, strong mind is everything.
Well, comes down to knowledge versus application, and that you could have all the technique in the world, but if you don't believe in it, you can't use any of it. And it's your composure, it's everything else. So, without obviously telling too many sort of trade secrets, obviously, as you've been, you know, working with Richard, what is your fight day kind of mindset? So, say your last fight, not the previous one, the one after.
Yeah.
What was your like? Yeah, the one in the what do you call it? In the warm-up room on the day itself. What was your sort of cues regards of mentally getting ready and getting psyched up?
You would honestly you wouldn't think I was fighting. I'm actually very, very chilled. I like to have a lot of banter. I like to eat with the team in the day, make jokes. There'll be times in the day when I get little adrenaline dumps, or where I get a bit pumped if I start thinking about it too much, but I try purposely not to. So I'll FaceTime my son, you know, my girlfriend, text family, put status on, go live, just do anything really to try, you know, keep my mind busy, but just as normal as possible. I like to have like the guy I cut weight with and stuff on my teammates' corner. I mean, it'd be different now because I have a new team. So, but I've got to know the guys that really go well, and they're all the same. They like to have banter. We're all the same, you know. Like, we just like to have banter and have a joke, take the mickey out of each other. You know, talk, reminisce on past fights, talk about the hot topics that are going on in the world at that moment in time, and eat. And then when it gets to kind of training, gets to fight time, we arrive at the venue, get set up, and then if I'm fighting at not 8 o'clock, and you know, come 6:30, I'm getting my kit on, and I switch then. So my last few fights, I've been able to take my mind coach with me, and he's had a session with me prior in the day where I've done a hypnosis session, which that I found that has actually helped, and I've enjoyed that. But in the past, we've done them maybe the day before by a video, so that's something I always put in. But yeah, I'm just getting to the zone really. Sometimes I'll listen to an audio he's done me. Might be 5 minutes, might be 15. It depends how my camp's gone and stuff. But I'll go find a quiet corner, put my hood up, shut my eyes, listen to an audio recording from him, and then it's like you switch on. Then it's time to go to work. So I start warming up, and the normal process: warming up, limbering up, mobility work, get in the zone, get a good sweat on, and then go out there and perform.
What's your weight cut like? Does he do anything to help you with that? Because obviously it's a very mentally taxing thing, depending on how much you've got to do.
Yeah, I truly believe I'm very, very mentally tough. Actually, I probably shouldn't say it, don't matter. But yeah, I was. It's okay. I've applied to go on a program that will test my mental strength on TV, whether it happens or not. You can probably guess what it is, but we'll see. But I believe I'm very mentally tough, and I've kind of got no quit in me, and it gets. I got to that point with that choke where it was like, right, I'm either gonna pass out or tap out. I was no way I was getting out of that choke. So 'cause some people might slander and say, "Oh, that's quitting." It ain't. It's accepting that I've lost the fight. But anyway, yeah. So, sorry, mate. I've waffled on there. I've lost the question and again. What was the question?
So, you've got the mental coaching for the day itself. But when it comes to the whole weight cut process, as sort of taxing as that is, do you have anything for that to try and keep you at the same level of composure to make it smoother?
Yeah, sorry, it was the weight cut. Yeah, so he's on my case at the minute and trying to keep me accountable along with my nutritionist now, which helps. So, but we don't have any processes. I mean, he has processes and things he'll say to me in hypnosis that he will use, but other than making notes and planning. My weight, I kind of control myself, and weight cut week. I've never really found it difficult because I've had so many fights. I know the kind of numbers and weights I need to hit to know that I'll be safe and have an easy weight cut. So I'm just disciplined with it, really, in that sense. As for mechanisms he helps with, not really. He hasn't. If I'm struggling with it in camp, he might put some of that into my hypnosis work. But yeah, weight cut week and stuff. No, he doesn't really do anything with that. And I do have quite a big weight cut. Sorry to cut you off there. I do have quite a big weight cut. I walk around at 82, 84 kilos out of camp and cut down to 70. So in fight camp, I like to be between 77 and 80, and I cut from 77 a week out, and that's a good cut for me.
I mean, good is a strong word. I mean, like, it's an achievable cut. So, regards of, there's a few things I also wanted to get into with this now. Yeah, I'll save the next question. I'll come back to this. So, with your weight cut itself and your meals and everything else, what is your go-to food after you finish? And what is your treat food after you got the job done?
It's probably. I mean, it's normally the next day for me. I'm never really bothered about eating on that night as such. But the next day, I always look, because we're always away with Bellator or Cage Warriors and different shows before. I like to get a breakfast. It's always just junk food, It's like some sort of. It's normally like crappy McDonald's or something crap. Like it's and you eat it and you think, oh. Tastes amazing, but then you just think, oh, there's so much better. But yeah, I think I'll tell you what, actually, the last couple of times, what's it called? The burger place.
Five Guys.
Yes, that's the one. Five Guys. I love that place, so I saved that for after the fight. But the last two fights, it's been a Five Guys. They're amazing. But yeah, just crap, kind of unhealthy food that. You would only have as a treat now and again. Snacks are my big thing as well. I kind of like my crisps and my chocolate. So my meals, I like eating healthy meals. I like to get my veg, my proteins, good carbs in there and stuff. So what a good thing that a nutritionist told me years and years ago was when you're in camp and stuff, you should everything you put in your body you should see as either kind of fuel or recovery. And when I changed my mindset thinking about that wasn't even the kind of hypnotist that was my own thinking. It was like, okay, I'm training 2-3 times a day, so I'm going to eat before or after sometimes, depending if I'm fasted training. But it's like what I eat now is going to make me train. So if I eat a donut for breakfast, I'm going to have a crap run in the morning or whatever. Or, whereas if I have a performance drink from my sponsor or a bowl of porridge, with some banana, So when I think of it, when I'm in camp, it's so easy to be strict. Yeah, that was a good tip he gave me.
Well, this is it as well. That's what I want to get onto with this part of back to the mind coaching again. Have you found? I'm trying to think the sort of style of things, because I'm quite one for philosophy and mantras and these kind of perspective ways of things. What kind of, I want to say, systems that you use? Is it like a way of dealing with information you're already trying to process? Is it a way of, I don't know. How would you describe your mind sessions in the sense of what is the intention to achieve? You see what I mean? If it makes sense. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I kind of get what you're saying. Yeah. So the biggest thing that I've noticed about myself, and since working with Rich, is always looking for the positive and focusing on the positive. So, for instance, you have a sparring session. Friday night, you have a spar, and you have a rubbish spar. Everybody always feels, oh man, I got battered by everyone. Even the lightweight amateurs that tap me out, whatever, blah blah blah. Feels they're focusing on the wrong thing, rather than saying, okay, so next time I train, I'm going to have a better sparring session. But I'm really glad that I went in and I've worked out for an hour. I've burnt so many calories and I've added to that bank of fight fitness. Ain't that better to focus on than, oh, I got tapped out by Joe Bloggs, or oh, I can't believe Joe Bloggs landed that left hook on me. I've been working on that all camp. You're focusing on the wrong thing, so it's shifting your focus to focus on. I said focus too many times. To focus on the positive rather than the negative, and that alone, if you can learn to do that in everything in life, and your use of language, your training, just your mindset in general, it really, really helps and changes your training a lot.
Have you ever done any CBT therapy before? Well, CBTs, yeah.
They're cognitive stuff. No, I don't think so. Not knowingly, anyway. No.
Well, it seems like similar kind of principles, and again, the different kinds of. The thing is, different elements like mind training and mental sort of training. The tricky thing I think people seem to value is the end result. And so, for example, strength conditioning. This I always liken it. If you go to a strength coach, you expect to get either stronger, faster, or whatever you want to do. But it's the expected results from a mental coach and the expected results from this kind of thing. Unless it's going to transfer directly into either reaction time or something like that, it's quite hard to honestly justify the value. But it's a bit of an intrinsic kind of thing, really, isn't it?
Yeah, hard to measure. I can only say on how I feel, and I feel a hell of a lot better when I'm focusing on the positive and not the negative. But yeah, it's definitely hard to measure. I mean, a lot of people will be that way in their personality anyway, and not even know it. So perhaps it isn't for everyone. They're already doing things right in that aspect. So, like, as I said, I am a deep thinker, and I just had to shift my focus, and he's helped me do that. You know what I mean? So I would perhaps get in bed at night if I've had a bad spar, for example, while we use that one, I'd be thinking, why, how's he landed that on me? Like, he's never landed that on me. And it might just be I've had a crap night's sleep the night before, or I'm just a bit tired that day, or, he's upped his game and got better at that. So, it's just focusing on the wrong thing. For me, focusing on the right thing, it helps your mood and your mindset for the day. So waking up in the morning and saying, how's today going to be a good day, rather than waking up and thinking, oh, man, I've only had 6 hours sleep. Yeah, okay, why don't you wake up and think, right, I'm up early, let's go. I've got more time to achieve more with the day. So just shifting your focus and your mindset for me, and the way that makes me feel, that's how I measure it, personally.
Again, that's just so important because perspective is such a powerful thing when it comes to MMA, especially when it comes to the different elements of it all. And then it's the where you can analyze it and you can manipulate your emotions and your preferences and all this kind of stuff, because it's like moving the goalpost. Is what do you class as a good session? And that's where your mindset really comes in. Because if you say you lost your sparring rounds, you could see that in a number of different ways. You could see it as, oh shit, I'm losing this. This is going to react to the fight. This is going to be the equivalent. If this was the fight, I'd have lost. Or you could see it as, okay, I've got my mistakes out now, and I'm going to learn from it and develop. That session hasn't changed, but your perspective is what's going to affect your mood afterwards. And that's why I feel it's so important and so underappreciated. Listen, Tim, it's been an absolute pleasure to chat to you, mate. Where can people find you?
Tim Wilde MMA on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. So I'm probably most active on Instagram. So
awesome. All right, cheers.
All right, mate.
Thank you for listening, guys. And this episode has been sponsored by Wilde MMA. Use code FCMMA20 at checkout on maulermma.com for 20% off on all products.